433. Clip the edge. Clip the edge. Hey guys, welcome out to the range. Today I wanted to do a video on something that is, oh man, I am derelict on. Jeepers. It's got to be almost a decade now. I'll have to check. What I'm referring to is my Glock 17. I had this slide made years ago by Doug Presson, which is what that logo is. Many of you have asked before. And I've always answered you, and I've always sent you to Doug Presson's website. And Doug, my sincerest apologies. Dude, I don't even remember if I put it in an article or not. But I can tell you that I have sent a lot of business your way over the years because of your great slide work. For a while, this gun was actually on Doug's website. It may actually still be there. I'm not really sure. Basically, I want to say it was December too, if I remember correctly. I remember where I was sitting, Doug. I was sitting in my living room on the floor, and my kids were playing around me. And I called you, and we chatted, and Doug was so kind. I had a class coming up, a fairly high-profile class coming up, and I can't remember what the class was because it was so long ago. And I said, Doug, and I named off another company who I'm not even going to give, even negative press is still press. I'm not even going to give you guys their name, but these people were donuts. And I contacted Doug through a mutual friend, and I said, this is what happened. The other company said that I'd have it by this time frame, and it's still not done, and I need it done. And Doug said, man, I'm swamped. And he said, but you know what? Send it to me. I'll get it done. So I sent him the slide, and he said, I'm sorry, but you're on your own on the frame. Well, Doug, that turned out to be a blessing in disguise. Because of what that other company did and left me hanging, I ended up jumping into it, and I ended up doing this frame myself, and it turned out better than I would have imagined. And I know that Ken Hackathorn wouldn't mind me sharing this with you. The first time I came out to training with Ken, I remember handing him my Glock, and he goes, oh man, yeah. And he goes, who did your frame? I said, I don't know. He goes, who did your slide? Because back then it was still a relatively new gun. And I said, DP, Doug Presson. So, you know, that's why I had Doug put it on there, because that's his advertising. So I wanted to make sure that his logo was on my gun. Out of thank you for him. And by the way, I paid Doug for this. Okay, so I paid him to do this. But then Ken goes, who did your frame? And I said, I did. And Ken, I'll never forget it. Ken goes, you did this? And I said, yeah. And he goes, you've been doing it long? I said, no. He goes, will you do my gun? I went, no. And he started laughing. And I go, it's a pain in the butt. I hate doing this stuff. It takes forever. Which, I got something coming pretty soon. I'll show you guys when it happens. I'll show it to you. But anyways, this is a pain in the rear to do correctly. But I did it. And Doug Presson did a dynamite, it's 10 chambers. Doug Presson did a dynamite job on this. He did serrations across the top. Honestly, I'll show you guys the nicer pictures of it. But he did serrations across the top. He did check straps across the front. And the reason for that is this ought to tell you how old this gun is. This is back when I was thinking I wanted to get into competition shooting. Silly rabbit. So I went out to train with Frank Proctor, because that's what you did, you know, back then. Back in the day. 20 jeepers, what was it, 2012? Yeah, it's been a decade. And the way Frank would teach you to reload a pistol was mag out, mag in. It works, doesn't it? It's very fast. So let me show that to you again. The finger would be here as opposed to where I do it here, which is why my slide consistently goes home. Because all I'm doing is jamming this flat against the side of the gun, and I'm just parking it there. And if there's enough of a hit, the slide goes home. Well, that hit is consistently created by the mag going in. But let me show you what this is about. So it would be mag out, mag in. You'd roll over the top, and basically both both hands are going like this toward one another. So it literally is just that. In fact, I'll show it to you this way. So it's mag in. Isn't that cool? It's just the slightest little pinch, and that's what the. And by the way, guys, and once it went home, I wasn't doing this. By then, I was already doing that, checking the loaded chamber indicator. But anyways, the framework, like I said, was me, but the slide work was all Doug Presson. And I had fears then. I no longer have fears. I had fears that I was going to find stress fractures where he'd done the work, because he machined in tight on these areas, machined in tight on those areas, machined across the top. Well, this slide, this overall gun, has had so many rounds run through it that I've had to throw away all the spring. Well, what I mean is replace. I've had to replace all of the internal components a couple times over, several times over at this point. And this gun is still going strong. This gun is still capable of grouping, of just running like a champ. It is such a pleasure to shoot this gun. Oh, this gun is like a sewing machine. And a lot of the functionality of this gun has to do in the fact that when you have your slide machined, you're taking a little bit of weight off. And it's actually causing a snappier, faster recoil because you're reducing its weight. And yeah, technically, you're taking that gun out of specification. I get that. I get that. I found that the gun is just, it's a real pleasure to shoot. I can tell the difference between this gun and the other Glock that I have that is almost an identical copy to this one, except for the slide is still OEM on that one. Same sights, same framework, everything. But this gun just feels different in my hands. And this gun and I have traveled lots of miles together, have done a lot of classes together, and it is rocking. What's really cool is so many of you have seen this gun over the years that when I go to a class and we start talking, and here's the funny thing, many of you don't realize, I never make the assumption that just because my name is Abner Miranda, people are going to remember who I am. I don't care, guys. I used to care about being somebody, and now all I care about is my wife liking and loving me, and my children liking and loving me, and I've already got that, and I'm so grateful, and my friends too, and my friends liking and loving me. Everything else is, but anyways, I go to classes and people, they're like, oh wait, oh yeah, I've never run through one. So, and then we start talking, and they go, dude, can I? Yeah, man, go ahead. And I hand them the gun, and they shoot it, and they go, wow, that's really nice. Well, the cool thing about this gun is, obviously, the beautiful slide work that Doug has done. And by the way, let me sidebar here real quick. The patina that this gun has gotten, when I say patina, I don't mean rust. I mean age. The Kydex rubbing points from the holster across the front of the gun that it's gotten over the years have added, in my estimation, to its beauty. And when people shoot this gun and they pull that trigger and they go, wow, that's like butter. And I go, yeah, it is like butter. It really, truly is like butter. This gun is a pleasure to shoot. You know, a well-made gun, well-done work on a gun is worth its cost. And this, I frankly can't remember what I paid for it. Doug was kind and he gave me a bit of a discount. But with all honesty, I'm on the other side of who I was a decade ago. And now I routinely give to friends and family my cost on everything. My nephew recently, Josh. I'm glad I was able to hook you up, Josh. Your stuff should be to you probably by tomorrow. Recently I hooked up Josh with several $100s worth of stuff for my cost, which was almost nothing. I routinely do this for friends and family. You guys need X, Y, and Z? You got it. Here's my cost. And I screenshot my cost and I send it to them so that they understand that when I'm charging them, it's because I also have to cover my credit card fees and processing. Guys, generosity comes right back at you. It really, truly does. Generosity is so worth it. And like my father-in-law told me years ago, he said, Abner, it's just money. I couldn't understand that. We lost him in December, and I miss him. And when he told me, Abner, it's just money, man, my brain couldn't register that, but I get it now. So in closing, circling back around, if you're looking for great work on your slide, I'll have to check the website, Doug. For all I know, you're doing frames now. I don't know. But if you're looking for dynamite slide work from a guy who knows what he's doing, and not just a drop-in slide, because guys, drop-in slides don't always play nice with OEM parts. I know this for a fact. If you're looking for dynamite OEM level work on your slide to match your frame, then Doug Presson is your guy. He's my guy. As always, I thank you guys for watching. God bless you all. Get those guns out in practice. Have a good one.